Hello and welcome to another Writerly Witterings with me, Michael Jex, the tea-drinking author, without a cup of tea because it's hot weather and for a number of reasons I've just finished a cup and I don't really want another one. So I'm not going to talk about tea, I'm going to talk about pens. And today specifically, an absolutely gorgeous new Conway Stewart. And there's several very interesting things about this I've got to talk about. Let's talk. So, this week I received a box, a very nice box, a Conway Stewart box. I'm going to run through this first bit very quickly because I've said it many times before, but when you buy a Conway Stewart you get a user guide which explains how to use the pens, which is obviously quite useful. You also get a pen polishing cloth, which is very handy, it does actually work very well, and a couple of black fountain pen ink cartridges. But then you also get this nice box. Let's open it. You get a certificate of authenticity to prove that it is actually a pen from Conway Stewart here in England. This is a Series 58 Burgundy fountain pen and it's number 2, which is a nice early number. You also get a thank you, which is nice. And on the other side it's got where you can sign up for a newsletter, Facebook, Instagram, all that sort of thing. All nice, neatly done. And then you get this pleasant little box, which has the essential thing. You pull on the tab and the box becomes a presentation stand sort of thing. But let's have a look at the pen. I might as well use the presentation stand. So this is a Burgundy pen, and the first thing you'll notice is this absolutely wonderful acrylic, which has a fabulous depth to it. You get these flashes of mica, or whatever they are. They're not mica, they're obviously a different type of plastic, I assume, but they look just stunning. I had a Wordsworth to test early on, and that pen with this colouring really just caught my heart. I loved that pen. This is very similar, just beautiful. So, what do we say about this pen then? First of all, I need a ruler, and fortunately here is a ruler. Total length of the pen, according to my ruler, is just about 13 centimetres, 130 mil. When it's uncapped, that works out at just about 12 mil. If it's posted, it works out at 15.5, 15.6. So a good size. In terms of weight, you thought I'd forgotten my weighing scales, didn't you? But no, I've got them here. I remembered this time. What is the weight? The whole lot, 17 grams. The cap itself, 6 grams. And the pen, if it won't roll off, is 12. That's good. 12 plus 6 makes 17. These are good scales, obviously. Electronic. It's rounding errors, I think. Right, so quick summary of the externals. First, just that glorious, glorious colour. I really love this particular type of plastic, acrylic, whatever it is. It's beautiful. It's a screw fit pen, fine. Top and bottom, is it the finial? I think it's the finial, is a sort of very, very flattened cone, top and bottom. It has a very firm clip, standard Conway Stewart style. There's no way that is going to slip out of your pocket with any ease whatsoever. That is really quite an effort to pull it open. It has 3 bands here. All these are genuine 9-carat gold. It is a wonderful shape. If you have seen my reviews of my own Conway Stewart Indiana Jones Model 58, you will know that I really like this size and weight. It fits in a shirt pocket really easily. There you go. It has, if I open it up, another 9-carat gold band. It has a flare at the bottom so that your fingers can't slip off. I actually have quite large hands, and yet I find this a really comfortable pen to use without posting. Posting for me is just not something to be done, because you'll invariably end up scratching this part of the barrel, and I don't like that. So it has this very nice slight taper towards the nib, and now I'm not going to talk about the nib yet. This is a standard cartridge converter system. So as you will have noticed, with the instructions there are 2 ink cartridges for you to use. Lovely. So you can pull out the whole of this, you can replace that with one of those standard international ink cartridges, and you're away. Really nice system. I have filled this now with KWZ Honey. I've used a few different inks. It doesn't seem to give any problems whatsoever. It did on the first filling, which was using Alt Bordeaux from Rohrer and Klingner, but that was not the ink's problem, and it wasn't the pen's problem. It was just that I hadn't flushed it through properly before I filled it the first time. I was a bit too eager and excited. Sort of person I am. Right, now, this nib. Because this is, for me, the most stunning aspect of this pen. This is the new smaller size 5. 18-carat gold. You can see the subtle difference in the shape when I put it next to my standard Model 58 Indiana Jones. It's quite a lot slimmer, same sort of length, but it's a lot smaller as a nib than the size 6 nib you'd get in a Churchill, but it is just wonderful to write with. I can't go overboard enough about this new nib. It is a real joy to use. If you want, Conway Stewart will give you a variety of different types of nibs, so you can have it played with to your heart's content, really. But it writes just superbly. I've got here a couple of examples. This is Israel Zablau in my standard Model 58, the Indiana Jones Model 58, not the standard, this is a different style. This is the new medium nib in this Model 58. I also used some other paper, so you can see here, this is the Rohrer and Klingner Alt Bordeaux, which, if you haven't used it, give it a try. Rohrer and Klingner are very reasonably priced inks, and they have a gorgeous range of different colours. This I really love. It's a sort of a pastel berry colour, which is just gorgeous. And as you can see here, the nib is magnificent. I don't often use the word magnificent for nibs. I use several other words which can be very complimentary, but this is really quite stunning. Very, very smooth. It had occasional dryness, but that was just because, as I say, I hadn't flushed the pen through properly when it first arrived. When you get a brand new pen, occasionally you get little deposits of oil inside the pen that can give you difficulties with the first filling. That was only on the very first filling that happened. Later I refilled it with KWZ Honey, and it flowed superbly well, but I'd flushed it through. I'd used several other inks in the meantime, so it's not surprising. This is an old Model 58 size 5 broad nib, which I still love. It is wonderfully smooth, it gives you a really nice writing experience, but there is something about this nib which is just that bit better, and I don't know what it is, but just if I give you a quick writing sample here. Now, just looking at that, you can see the variation in the lines as I was writing. I was not writing carefully, that was just a quick scrawl. But the fact is that you can get some astonishing semi-flex variation with this pen. It is wonderful. It is magnificent. It is. I don't think it'll matter what ink you're using. You're going to get some pretty amazing shading and different effects when you're using a pen like this. The nib is, in fact, so very good that I've already been in touch with Conway Stewart, and I think I might swap out my broad nib, which is, oh, it's lovely. But in terms of variation, it doesn't really give you any more than this new style 5, which isn't a problem, but it does mean that with this, which is medium, I can use it more often. When I'm using my Midori notebooks and others, I sometimes really want just to have a nib that will produce a thinner line than this. Now, I can't get, I am just writing as lightly as I can here. Oops. But the thing is, writing with a pen like this in broad takes up more acreage on the paper. So I love it, but I think as a general pen that I have in my pocket, this wins. For writing, I think that line variation is better. It looks better to my eye. So, I think you can guess the basics of what I'm going to say now. Do I like it? You betcha. I love this. It is a fabulous little pen. Absolutely perfect to fit in your pocket for daily use. The medium nib, I love the nib on this, but the medium nib on this is preferable. So let's just look at the two side by side. I rather like the fatter 9-carat gold band in the middle there. The three equal sizes are good, but I rather prefer that. I still really love having the lever fill on this because it makes it so much faster and quicker and easier. You put it in an ink bottle, you pull out the lever, you let the lever back in and it sucks ink in. You don't have to take the thing apart, you don't have to do anything at all, it's just that quick and easy. This, on the other hand, for the average user is probably more convenient because unscrew that, you put it in your ink and twiddle the cartridge converter's knob That's one way of filling it, or you can just pull that out and replace it with an ink cartridge every time you run out. It is a very quick, simple and therefore very popular mechanism, and I can quite understand why people like it. But for me, this one wins slightly on the filling mechanism. With this, you'll notice there is the old-fashioned Conway Stewart writing on the side. Mine has a slightly different style. So it says Conway Stewart limited edition 9 out of 100. This is Conway Stewart series 58, number 2 of 611, made in England, and mine has made in England going round there. Nice. Apparently that writing is, and I'm just referring to a letter here, this is Conway Stewart traditional barrel engraving, available on nearly all Conway Stewart pens for a small extra charge. And when they say small, it's 30 quid. Yeah, it's a bit. They got to charge for it, and that's fair enough. Is there anything I don't like about these pens? Yes. There's one thing that always has me thinking. I haven't mentioned this before, this is a new one, but when I put my hand there, it almost feels as though it's going to get cut by the sharpness of the metal down the side. And it goes, the same goes for both sides. Now this, being a slightly newer pen, is exactly the same. Just a little bit there. And if I just get a piece of paper and demonstrate, this won't be easy because the clip is really very strong, as I said. But if I just run that up there, okay, it doesn't cut it. So it's not as bad as it feels necessarily, but okay, so just running a bit of paper up there, and you can see just how sharp that edge is. Is it a showstopper? No, but I have to admit it does make me nervous sometimes when I'm slipping this into a reasonably good quality shirt pocket, because I do have a feeling that that is going to damage the shirt probably fairly quickly. Does it stop me carrying it all the time? Nah, of course not. But it is something I'm always aware of. That is the negative. It's the only negative I can see on these little Model 58s. Apparently this size was the standard size for most pens in the 40s and 50s. Could be that that's because of rationing of different materials coming into the country, and it could well be that it was just felt that it was a really convenient size to have because you could shove your pen in your shirt pocket, which is how I use these pens. And I have to admit, I think that that material is just stunning. I think the looks are superb. And that nib has really won me over. As I said, I am talking to Conway Stewart about changing the nib I've got in this one for one of the newer styles, because I think it gives just that bit better an experience when you're using it. So there you have it, a bit of a bombshell there. Anybody who's been watching my videos knows I love this little pen, but this one, if only it had a lever fill, it would be one of my favourite pens of all time. I think it's absolutely gorgeous to look at. The nib is superb. My only reservation is the sharpness at the edge of that clip, but the new one is definitely less sharp than my old one. Do I care? No, none of my shirts are that valuable, to be honest. But it is something to be aware of. And on that, thanks a lot for watching. If you are interested, the Writerlywitterings Pen Club is growing at quite an alarming rate. So if you're interested in the idea of pens and inks, and you really like the idea of making new friends who are also interested in pens and inks, then contact us. You don't have to actually write to people with pens and inks. There's a very rapidly developing notice board where you can chat to people who just have similar interests. Writerly Witterings Pen Club. There is an email address down at the bottom. I'll put it here now. Here you are. See it? Right, good. And if you get in touch with that email address, I will send you a link through to the chats so that you can get involved. And apart from that, thanks a lot for watching. Do please hit the subscribe button and the like button. The like in particular